If you've played Helmet, and if you've played Helmet since the recent update and have been able to access the new guns, you'll know that they vary a lot and that they're very different in performance. Some people I see use guns that are not suitable for how they play solely because they have a characteristic or quality that the user never uses, can't find a use for, or is just utterly useless. Other weapons are good but are dismissed because of external factors and just general information that is usually given about them. Today I'll try to solve this problem and I'll try to help you and show you which guns are the best in Helmet. Keep in mind that this is my personal opinion. If you don't like a gun and like one that I don't like, then that's perfectly fine. Everyone is different anyways with their playstyles. For the tests, we will only be using the starting part of the Covenant, which is the first mission. We can't use Convergence, the new level, or Dawnbreaker, because on Dawnbreaker, everyone is wearing a mask. And on Convergence, everyone has an extremely different armor level. Some people are extremely weak, while some seem to be unstoppable. Whereas on the Covenant, it's just they're either armored or not armored. That's literally it. With that said, let's get cracking. Starting with the Model 1888. This is supposed to be an outdated shotgun that was Casca's father's. This thing has one shot in the chamber and it also has 8 reserve rounds. Now this has been added presumably as a joke weapon because the thing is, it's really slow. Not in speed, but in how you reload. When you reload, it takes ages. When you shoot a shot, the shot takes ages just to get to the enemy. And most of the time, it won't even kill them. I kid you not, if you manage to finish a level immediately with just the Model 1880 and not using your Lehman, massive respect to you. But to be fair, it's not that bad. If you know how to aim at the head, which isn't really easy with a shotgun and how wide the spread is even at close range, you can still get good results with this gun. I rank it C tier. Next up is the Vetala Y88. This is supposed to be the Gwayson AK. Despite the high recoil and the fact that it is hella loud, it is actually a really good gun. You'll find that it's able to 2-shot most people, and like most other rifles, 1 shot to the head. However, due to the high recoil, it is very unlikely that you'll be able to hit someone from long range, especially if it's a runner, because they like to weave in and out of bullets. However, if you're low on budget or you just want to bring more gadgets, I would advise you use the Vetala. I rank the Vetala A tier. Up next is the gun you start with, the N2A1. This is supposed to be the stand-in for the Honey Badger. In contrast to the Vetala, this thing takes around 2 to 3 shots to kill both armored and unarmored targets. This is also very silent because it's integrally suppressed, meaning you can shoot near an enemy who is looking away and he probably won't hear you. I've done it once or twice. This thing also has very moderate recoil. It's actually very moderate in everything. It has moderate recoil, moderate range, moderate accuracy, and moderate damage. Meaning that it is actually kind of okay to use this for shooting runners who are able to get past your Lehman. Because of sentimental factor and the fact that this used to be one of, if not the best guns in the game, I'm going to rank it in S tier because it still holds up today, and if you are able to use it well, you can easily solo even Convergence. Oh boy, we have a quite literal banger on this one. This is the N8, which is a New Zealand marksman rifle from before the time of Helmet. The stats say that it has full auto capability, however that's not what you should be using this gun in. Using it in full auto makes you suffer because it has the recoil of the Ketta, which we'll get to later. You are better off pressing V and switching to semi. With semi, you can one-shot unarmored targets and two-shot armored targets. It's that simple. Even on higher levels like convergence, it only takes 3 to 4 shots to kill those very highly armored enemies. In fact, I feel like having the N8 in the arsenal just completely negates the usage and the case of the Vetala because the N8 does everything better. It has low recoil on semi, it has high damage, you can actually one-shot an unarmored target with the N8, and above all, it just looks cool and sounds cool. You can probably tell it is one of my two favorite guns in the game, so it's getting an S tier. On the other hand, the K1889 is actually kind of boring. You'd think that a World War I era rifle in their time would actually be very interesting for us. However, it's not that good. All the stats look good, even the fact that you can just use this instead of the hammer to bash doors open and to bash people open. Until you realize that it can't deal 100 damage. Whereas the Model 1888 is fun to use because it's hard to use. This is just boring. So yeah, it's just maybe a C tier. Our next gun is the Bishan, which is a Guaysan Special Forces marksman rifle. You'd think that this would be better than the N8 because it's integrally suppressed and it has the night vision filter, which basically makes your screen green and helps you to see on Dawnbreaker. Well, it is useful on Dawnbreaker until you realize that you can just switch to one of your gadgets and have a good flashlight. You can see anyway. And besides, the damage isn't as consistent as, say, the N8. The N8 will always kill in 2 shots. The Vision, on the other hand, can take up to 4 shots just to kill an armored target. So while there is a useful case for it and it's really good in some scenarios, it's not my first pick. Hence, B tier. Our next weapon is the H66A, which is a Dominion gun which has an underbarrel grenade launcher. This underbarrel grenade launcher can use flashbangs as tear gas. With the tear gas, if no one is wearing a mask, you can put it into a room, it will force all the civilians out and it will kill just the soldiers, which is good until you realize that on Dawnbreaker, where there's most enemies, there's a lot of enemies that are just wearing masks. Even the civilians wear masks, so it doesn't affect them. Even though this is still a really good gun, it has the stats of the Vetala but with much less recoil as it feels, because I'm able to two-shot enemies consistently with the regular bullets, and it's very fun to use. You can load up in a team with 3 and it's gonna be a very easy ride. However, its main con is the grenade launcher itself. It causes it to have 2 more budget than the N8 and 3 more than the Vetala, though it is comparably the same without the grenade launcher. So it's gonna go into B tier. If not for the budget, it would have been an A tier gun. Our next weapon on the list is the BIAN. The BIAN is a Dominion submachine gun this time, and it's quite useful. However, not as much as other guns or what you'd think. This gun's special feature is that it has a folding stock. If you fold it, then it's going to be quite accurate hip fire, meaning you don't need to right click. However, there is a debuff if you're aiming down, like right clicking, On the other hand, just unfolding the stock doesn't really do anything. Or is it the other way around? I'm not sure, but yeah, that's how it works. So basically, you have a weapon that is just a laser if you unfold the stock. Or fold, I'm not sure, once again. Well, that's what you'd think. In reality, that's not the case. You can, kill a lot of people with hipfire, but it burns through ammo so fast that it's not really that effective. Compared to something like the Talon, which we'll do maybe another time, it's still more efficient. However, you can end up dumping an entire mag on like 3 guys in a room, when in reality it only needs like 9 bullets to kill them all combined. I enjoy this gun, I'll admit, but it's really not the best for me. I'll say it's a B tier. Our next weapon is the JQ-12. This is supposed to be the in-universe stand-in for the Benelli M4. This thing packs a punch, and I mean a punch. It is able to literally make people fly. There's not much to be said. It's a combat shotgun that's highly effective at close ranges. Its only disadvantage, I'd say, is the ammo, which you run out of really quickly, because there's only 5 in the chamber and there's only 15 in reserve. If not for the low ammo capacity, this would be a low S tier gun. However, even though it is my favorite gun, I will put it in A. Our next gun is the N18A2 Hardkill, which is also a combat shotgun. Whereas the JQ-12 has one of the highest damage outputs in the game, the N18A2 trades that for the ability to change ammos. It has 3 ammo types: Beanbag, which is a stun ammo, Slugs, which help with armored targets, and Flechette, which helps with unarmored targets. This weapon is highly versatile, as it is the weapon of choice usually for other people when grinding the Covenant for EXP. And also, it's just very useful to have because the slugs can open locked doors. If someone doesn't have a lockpick, just use the hard kill. Because of its versatility, just like the JQ-12, it is deserving of an S tier, and this time it really will go in S tier. Now onto the gun everyone thinks is best, the Ketta. Oh my god, man, why does this keep happening to me, for goodness sake? It's bad, really bad. You can't hit a one-shot kill and the recoil is terrible. F tier. Our next gun is the Dominion's version of the N8, the H110. The H110 has a special ability that you can shoot through doors, and that's very useful. However, you do need to have a camera gun because if you just use your envoy skill, it's not gonna mark them as a hostile, so even if you shoot them, well, it won't make much difference because you're still going to get the non-hostile killed penalty. Otherwise, this is the true DMR of the bunch. It's able to one-shot from extremely long distances, and I mean extremely long. You can take the hallway in the Covenant, go up to the place with the keycard, and wait for the person you haven't zip-tied to start running. The moment that you see them, you can just shoot them and they're basically dead. It's that easy. Also, because of the high penetration, you can collateral enemies. So if your enemies are weaving around in a line, like say with cloakers on Convergence, this is a really good pick. Maybe the lower damage is a detriment though, but you can always work around that. A quite solid A tier, would always use if I have the chance. Next up we have the Taser. The Taser is quite a cheesy weapon. The taser, basically what it does is you can shoot anyone, it won't kill them. However, they won't get up for the rest of your session. This is good and all, however, you have to realize that if you just shoot them, well, you're not going to get any points for capturing or zip tying them. So a good rule of thumb is to zip tie them before you take them out and just take out enemies. There's also the weakness of the fact that, well, it's a taser, you need to retrieve the little thing that falls off every time that you shoot it, and sometimes that little thing happens to be in a place where there's like 5 enemies. If I had a meme tier which was above S tier, the taser would go there, but for now I'll just put it in A tier. Now we have one of the 2 new main guns, the Thera. The Thera is a heavily modified Vetala that's supposed to be the in-game Groza. However, unlike the Groza, which is kind of useful, this thing is kind of This thing is an because it requires a different system where you have to kill enemies to get materials. With materials, you can get better mags. However, the problem is that sometimes there are not enough enemies to give you good mags. There are 3 levels: subsonic, then standard, and then the high penetration ammo. However, the high penetration ammo is so expensive you'll probably run out of ammo and have to buy subsonic before you can save up for the high velocity. I think that's what it's called. Having tried it, I can tell you that it's extremely frustrating to find out you don't have enough ammo, and then you also find out you don't have enough materials. Because of this, I had to resort to murdering innocents, which gives you materials for some reason. I don't know how. C tier, to be honest. And finally, the most unbudget heavy of all, definitely, the Collage, which is the PKM Helmet Edition. So basically, the Collage is a 100 round approximately gun or machine gun that you can just spray and pray at your enemies without worry of them firing back, because the special skill of this gun is that you can shoot them as much as you want, but if you don't hit them, they can't shoot you back. I am a big fan of this gun. It was actually the gun that got me through my first convergence run ever, and it's quite useful and fun to use because unlike with the other ones, you don't need to worry about ammo. You can just start spraying and wait for them to just drop. The problem with this gun though is that it is massive. It is giant. You are not going to be able to move quickly when you have this equipped. Of course, you can just bring along a sidearm, but the thing is, you need the firepower with convergence, especially convergence. So having the gun out is always a good idea. However, if that's the case, maybe bring along teammates because you need someone to protect you when you are reloading. Really fun gun, but way too expensive and maybe too niche in its usage without a teammate. B tier. If I had to choose a weapon that everyone can use, it'd be either the N2A1 or the N8. Use the N2A1 at the start because you need to level up to get to the N8. But after that, use the N8, switch it to semi, you're having a good time. So this is our finished tier list. What do you agree with? What don't you agree with? Comment down below. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed and I hope you have a good day.